Okay. Next, we are very pleased to have colleagues from the Nordic to share with us their experience in centralizing collection policy. And they are, please forgive me because I'm sure I will pronounce your name incorrectly. Mr. Ari MUHONEN, Dr. Jarmo SAARTI, and also Mr. Pentti VATTULAINEN. Thank you. Mr. MUHONEN is Library Director, Viikki Campus Library of Helsinki University in Finland, of course. He holds a licentiate degree in naval architecture and a certificate on information management and information. He started his library career as an information specialist in the early 1990s and moved on to senior positions in public services in Helsinki University of Technology Library, Helsinki University Library, and the National Library of Finland. And he was appointed to Director of Helsinki University of Technology Library, Aalto University Library, and Viikki Campus Library of Helsinki Universities in 2002, 2010, and 2011, respectively. Dr. SAARTI is Library Director in the University of Eastern Finland and a Joint Professor in the University of Oulu. After completing his MA study in the University of Jyväskylä in 1986, he was worked in several public and academic libraries. Actually, he's worked in several public and academic libraries. He completed his doctoral study and was awarded PhD in the year 2000. Dr. SAARTI has been the chair of the board of the National Repository Library in Finland and a board member of the National Library of Finland. And he is also a member of the Standing Committee of the University Libraries and other research libraries section. And he specialized in knowledge organization of fiction and management of libraries and published in over 200 papers and 30 books. And the last presenter is Mr. VATTULAINEN. He's the director of the National Repository Library in Finland. He received his master's degree from the University of Helsinki and has worked in public and research libraries in Finland and Tanzania, right? He is currently the director of the National Repository Library, which was founded in 1989 as a shared national facility and interlibrary lending center. And he has written articles on interlibrary lending, resource sharing, and collection management, and has organized conferences at international, Nordic, and national level. The topic of the presentation today is from the centralized national collection policy towards the decentralized collection management and resource sharing collaboration, Finnish experience. So let's welcome the speaker.
Well, first of all, I have to thank those who accepted our paper, because we don't, in fact, answer the question of the theme of our presentation, of this session. But anyway, I am Pentti VATTULAINEN, as he told, and I am the director of the Finnish National JULAC. We have a functioning JULAC there, and that is very vital part of Finnish library environment as a collection resource and interlending center. And it serves all libraries in Finland, especially university libraries, and university libraries are very happy about it. So good luck for your JULAC. Yes. We have a joint paper with Jarmo and Ari, and we have 20 minutes time. So we decided to do this sort of democratic way. I have 2 minutes and they have 9 minutes each. Yes. So we come from Finland, and then this is a map. As you can see, Steve told yesterday you to show where north is. North is up there, of course, and we live northwest of here. Or when we come from Helsinki to Hong Kong, it's 9 hours flight southeast. And it may seem a long distance, but it is not. We are practically neighbors. There is only one country between us, China and Finland. Okay, I guess this was my part. 2 minutes now. I'll give. This is the over.
Okay, Pentti did a joke, so we do the serious talking. First of all, let me put a bit perspective what we are talking about. So Finland has about 5.6 million inhabitants, so we are quite a small country, about same size population-wise as Hong Kong, but a lot bigger. We are a member of the European Union, so we have quite a lot of cooperation at the European level. And Finland has put quite a lot of effort on its education system. 78% of our population has at least a secondary degree and 35% higher education, and I think still we try to have about half of our population to have higher education. And as you might know of the PISA and different results, this has been one of the main aims when building the Finnish nation. And another thing is that the Finnish history as an independent nation is very short, about 100 years. So do bear this in mind when we talk about the Finnish experiences. One very special thing about Finnish library system is that all our libraries, both public and higher education libraries, are open to all. So everybody, for example, if you want to use my library, you can come and just take library card and start borrowing things and start using online things, for example, here. So this is something that has happened when we started to build the Finnish welfare state. We have quite a lot of universities. At the beginning of this century, the modern global world started to affect also Finland. So this is how the Finland looks during the winter time, minus 30 degrees centigrade and a lot of snow. Welcome to Finland during the winter time. Something completely different. I will speak something about the paradigm change in resource sharing in Finland, and this is about printed stuff. We have quite a lot of consortia things and cooperation things in the e-resources as well as in library information systems. The First and Second World War time was very difficult for Finland. We didn't have much time for building our nation. We did quite a lot of fighting in the field. And after 1950, we started to build so-called Nordic social state. And it meant that quite a lot of effort was put in education and in library system. This was very active during 1960s, 1970s, but from 1980s this started to collapse. At the present we are, for example, I don't know whether we are going to the US type of system, or will we have this China type of system, or will we stay in the middle. At the present we are having some aspects of different types of systems. But it has been very centralized way how the Finland has built its resources, especially in education and in library system. Most of the funding has come directly from the state. The libraries, the universities were part of the state until 2010, when the new university legislation came in. And after that, the situation changed dramatically. And as Pentti mentioned, the National Repository Library has been very important for Finnish university libraries. And at the present, the situation is that we are doing this shelf cleaning mostly to the National Repository Library. And the National Repository Library has started to think about the collection policy at the national level. These things are, as we have heard quite a lot during these 2 days, not easy anymore. So we are going to this decentralized way, especially in the digital world. It is very funny that when we are speaking about printed books, we still speak about interlending library things, but when we are speaking about international journals, we don't speak them as an interlending library things what they actually is. The servers are all over the world. And another thing that is happening is this digitation of science, and as we have heard during these days, this is happening at different phases in different subjects and also in different levels in universities. So, for example, in my home university, which used to be Kuopio University, now it is merged to 2 universities, we started to build down our library already 10 years ago. I had a vision that we should have a non-printed library during these days, but then came this merger and I got the arts and humanities, and it's a different picture. But I think the most important thing here is that actually no library can now be honest and say that we want to have every resources in our library collections. It's just not possible. The world has changed. So this collection-based thinking, I think, must be changed. There has been too much speaking also here during these days about repositories, about book collections, not so much as Eli mentioned, about why the libraries are important and why the libraries will be very important. Because personally I see that there's huge amount of job to be done within, especially in universities. The academics, especially the students, need libraries the way that we are doing. But if we are building just repositories for the old books, it's not enough. So at the present we have in Finland this system that we have legal deposit libraries, 6 that deposit all the printed Finnish material. This is based on a fire that took place in 18th century in Turku, and now we are having this problem. Why do we need 6 deposits? Should 2 make the job? But as you mentioned, the history, we bear the history with us, and this is in legislation, so we just have to do it. Then we had resource libraries. The idea was also in Finland till 1980s that we should buy as much printed collections to Finland as possible, and actually state funded quite a lot of this. But this changed in the beginning of the 1990s when the National Repository Library started to work. It started to be the national repository, and as I mentioned, it became very important especially for the university libraries from the 2010. I think almost all universities have decided that about 10% of their premises should be left out. The focus is in teaching and in academic studies, not in buying premises. And this will go on, and now to Ari.
Hyvää iltapäivää. Toivottavasti salmiakki maistui ystävillemme. I hope Finnish language sounds as beautiful as Chinese to me. And that was a secret message to our inner Finns here. It has been said many times here that we live in a complex world. And as an engineer, I like to make some kind of structure in there. So that is why we have created this model life cycle of printed materials. First it was just meant to be for books, but now we have extended it to all printed materials. That is why it says extended here. There is a very simple idea behind this, and Ranganathan said it already decades ago. We should have every reader a book and every book a reader. We have interpreted this in a way that all books or all printed materials should be located in a place where it has the best possibility to be used. I give you some examples. If an academic needs some certain books, like a reference book, daily or weekly. It should be in his own shelf. But when he doesn't need it anymore, he can give it to a faculty library or to his research group for use. And when it's not needed there anymore, it can be changed to a university library, and so on and so on. And at least in Finland, it hopefully reaches the National Repository Library, which is the best thing we have got from the Ministry of Education ever, I think. Have we been clear that it is a very good place, this National Repository Library? So this is the basic line of how printed material could go from one place to another. And there is one very important thing in here, which has actually been mentioned a few times today: ownership. I think we should give up ownership in libraries. I know it is very idealistic, but anyway. If we have a lot of material which is very little used or not used at all, it is not an asset to us anymore, it is cost. So why not give it away, give a better home to that book or printed material, so somebody else can use this material. And it doesn't have to go to the National Repository Library. It is also very important that each and every library has an active collection policy. I think it is not enough to think what we can read, what we can just take away. We also need to think what we want to have in our library. What are the disciplines we are supporting, and what are the other disciplines which we are not supporting in our library. But if somebody of our users need that kind of material, we can get it from somewhere else. We can either purchase it or we can borrow it from somewhere else. And that leads to resource sharing. In Finland, we have a very nice system of interlibrary lending, but it's very, very, very traditional. And that doesn't work too well at the moment. In Helsinki University of Technology, where I used to work a few years ago, the interlibrary lending numbers have gone down to about 5% what it used to be 20, 25 years ago. So there is really something which is not working, and we have to think, we have to have new ways of thinking it there. Mistä sä laitat tän eteenpäin? Kiirestä vai? Tämä? Okay. Yes. That was the problem. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think Wen mentioned this morning that we have to think of a new way to do traditional, to do ILDS, interlibrary lending. This is the traditional way. The definition of ILDS is that it is action between two libraries. So patron is somewhere there at the side. He makes a request to his home library, which then delivers the request to a lending library, and then the book or an article comes back the same way. Nowadays, this is pretty much old-fashioned. This was because patron did not know where the book is, what he or she needs. So he had to rely on his home library. What we are suggesting now is patron-initiated requesting. So a patron can go straight to the lending library and make the request. And an optimal way to do this ILDS is that the lending library would send the book or article straight to the patron. But we still need the home library. Home library is a place which can guarantee that this patron, its patron, is trustworthy and could do this requesting to the lending library. So what we suggest here is a new definition for ILDS. We claim that patron-initiated requesting is action between libraries and their trusted patrons, and libraries assure the trustworthiness of their own personal clients. So we don't need the home library to be a part of this route of requesting and book or article delivery. But we need that to make sure that the patron is a good person or valid person to make the request and get the material. This way we can free quite a lot of our resources, both staff resources and money, to make something new, something different. And this way we can create some totally new services to our patrons. And I forgot to say that, of course, patron is the key issue in library business. I think it is very nice to be in a library because it is pure service organization. We don't do anything for ourselves, we do everything for our patrons. And we have to keep that in mind. And now back to Jarmo.
Thank you, just like in the news. I'm a great fan of Chinese culture. I've been for 40 years and I'm making a dissertation about translations of Chinese literature to Finland, so it has been great to be here in Hong Kong. And I like a lot of this Yang Yin thing because as librarians we must know that it's not about parallel futures, but it's about parallel presences. There are different ways of looking at documents. Documents are about interpretation. They are not about books, printed books or digital things. So I think we need both of these things. We need digital resources, but we need print resources, as our Canadian colleagues mentioned. For example, when I'm studying literature, even though I have those things digitized, I want to see the books because they tell me something that is very important from an academic point of view. Then we need this decentralized and centralized thing, because if everything is decentralized, who does the collections then? If nobody actually does these collections, then the decentralized systems won't work. And we have heard quite a lot of national and local solutions here. What I am waiting for, especially in Europe, at least European level, but global level things, because now when the research is globalizing the needs of, for example, in my university I have researchers that study African things and Chinese things and things like that. And of course there's our theology academics who want to have the Vatican Library in our campus, and it's not just possible, it's much more. We need this decentralized system, but we need this trust, and of course resource sharing means that we must pay our part of the costs. And then this customer or library oriented. Personally, I think that we have, as an academic institution, a need to teach, especially the students, why sometimes libraries are a bit difficult. Because documents are a bit difficult. History is sometimes a bit difficult. You just can't tell stories, you have to have documented things there. Then we have this open access closed tax. This is really big problem at the present due to the copyright things, as we all know. This is something that we could do more, and I hope for the better future here. And I think the most important thing that is happening in science is this open publication. I don't know where it will lead, but this means that the libraries must go where the academics are now doing their research, because otherwise the documented research will be lost in quite fast time. 10 years, we are speaking in digital systems about 10, 20 years time, and in human history it is very short time. After 1,000 years we can say if something is working or not. 谢谢大家。